What if I told you that one man lived 500 years ago, but imagined airplanes, tanks, robots, and even artificial intelligence centuries before humanity was ready for them? What if I told you that the same man painted the world's most famous smile, yet died believing he was a failure? This is not fiction. This is the life of Leonardo da Vinci. Leonardo was born in 1452 in a small village called Vinci, near Florence. He was the illegitimate son of a notary, Ser Piero, and a peasant woman named Caterina. Illegitimate children in Renaissance Italy had no inheritance, no family rights. They were outsiders from the first breath. And yet, this child, with no claim to nobility, would change the face of human history. Isn't it strange? The boy who was not allowed to carry his father's name is now remembered by the entire world as Da Vinci. From Vinci, the outsider became immortal. Leonardo had little formal education. He struggled with Latin, the language of scholars. But what he lacked in books, he replaced with eyes. He observed birds in flight for hours, copying the curve of their wings. He sketched rivers, stones, clouds. He filled pages with the spirals of seashells, the flow of water, the anatomy of plants. Nature was his first teacher, and unlike other children, Leonardo asked why. Most children stop asking questions. Leonardo never did. At 14, Leonardo's father took him to Florence, the beating heart of the Renaissance. There he entered the workshop of Andrea del Verrocchio. In Verrocchio's studio, Leonardo learned everything: painting, sculpting, mechanics, metallurgy. One day, Verrocchio painted the Baptism of Christ. He let Leonardo add a small angel. When the painting was finished, Verrocchio looked at Leonardo's angel, so alive, so radiant, and he is said to have put down his brush, vowing never to paint again. The student had already surpassed the master. Leonardo's career as a painter exploded, but with it came rumors, shadows, and danger. At 24, Leonardo was anonymously accused of immoral acts with young men. In Florence, such charges could mean public humiliation, even death. The case was dismissed, but it haunted him forever. Leonardo never married. He lived with apprentices, especially Francesco Melzi and Salai, who became his companions, muses, and sometimes tormentors. Was Leonardo's genius fueled by solitude, by secrets he could never share? In Milan, Leonardo da Vinci painted The Last Supper. It is not just a painting, it is an icon. Leonardo approached this work with reverence, focusing all his talent on the holiest moment, Christ, together with his apostles at the final meal. The center of the image is the Lord. Every line, every detail leads the viewer's eyes to him. The mural began to fade because of the technique Leonardo used, but even weakened by time, it remains a treasure. The Last Supper is more than art. It is a holy image, an offering of talent to God. Painted in Florence, the Mona Lisa became the most studied portrait in history. Why does she smile? Is it happiness, melancholy, or is it something else? Modern science shows Leonardo used multiple layers of glaze so thin they create optical illusions. From one angle, the smile rises. From another, it fades. Infrared scans reveal hidden drawings beneath the surface. At one point, her position, clothing, even her gaze were different. Was Leonardo hiding a second portrait beneath the first? Is the Mona Lisa not one woman, but two? Leonardo wasn't satisfied with painting skin. He wanted to know what lay beneath. He dissected corpses, men, women, children. In candlelit rooms, he sketched organs, bones, muscles with terrifying precision. He was the first to describe the heart's chambers and valves. He drew the fetus inside the womb with astonishing accuracy. A century before William Harvey, he suggested blood circulates, but these drawings were never published. Why? Because the church forbade dissection. Leonardo risked everything. Imagine one of the greatest scientific discoveries in history, hidden in notebooks that no one would read for 300 years. Leonardo's notebooks contain over 13,000 designs: helicopters with spiral wings, parachutes, submarines, tanks with rotating cannons, robots, powered by gears and pulleys. Self-supporting bridges that armies could assemble in minutes. Most were never built. Some were impossible with Renaissance materials. But centuries later, modern engineers tested them, and many worked. Was Leonardo a man of his time? Or was he a time traveler trapped in the wrong century? Leonardo wasn't just an artist or inventor. He was a master of spectacle. He staged theatrical shows with moving scenery and special effects. He built mechanical lions that walked and opened their chests to reveal flowers. But some believe these machines were not just entertainment. As a military engineer, Leonardo gained access to dukes, kings, even enemies. Through his sketches, he could have mapped fortresses, studied weapons, and passed secrets. Was Leonardo serving art or espionage? Despite his brilliance, Leonardo was plagued by doubts. He abandoned projects halfway. He rewrote notes endlessly. He often complained of being blocked, of ideas that outpaced his ability to complete them. The perfectionist inside him destroyed as much as he created. He was admired, but sometimes ridiculed. Other artists, like Michelangelo, mocked him. Michelangelo taunted, "You explain horses, but you cannot cast one in bronze." Was Leonardo's greatest challenge not Michelangelo, not the church, but the weight of his own impossible standards? In 1516, King Francis I of France invited Leonardo to his court. Leonardo accepted, carrying with him his notebooks and a few unfinished works. At the Château du Clos-Lucé, he lived as a beloved guest. He walked gardens, spoke with scholars, shared visions with the king himself. But his health declined. His right hand grew weak, perhaps from a stroke, making painting difficult. On May 2, 1519, Leonardo died in his bed. According to legend, the king held his head as he passed, and yet, Leonardo whispered that he had not lived up to his full potential, leaving many of his works unfinished. The man who imagined the future died believing he had fallen short of what he was capable of. After his death, his notebooks scattered across Europe. For centuries, they lay hidden, ignored. Only in the 19th and 20th centuries did scholars realize their value. Today, we see Leonardo not just as a painter, not just as a scientist, not just as an engineer. He was a universal mind, a man who tried to see everything. What does Leonardo teach us? That curiosity is dangerous, that perfection is impossible, and that imagination can outlive centuries. Leonardo da Vinci's life is not a story of answers. It is a story of questions, questions that haunted him and still haunt us. And perhaps that is why we keep returning to him. Because in Leonardo's eyes, we see not just his genius, but our own potential. In the next episode, we move from the genius who dreamed of the future to the queen who used beauty and cunning to control empires, Cleopatra.